Hey everyone, welcome back to the Warcraft news. This week we've got some pretty damn big heavy hitters. There's a hammer that is about to fall on top of all of us. The good news is, it's a positive one, so let's waste no time. Today I have 10 main pieces of Warcraft news that you should know about, and we're going to kick it off with Season 4. Dragonflight Season 4, known as Awakened, will be releasing April 23rd. This time, we're getting the original 8 Dragonflight dungeons back into the Mythic Plus rotation without any seasonal affixes. Yes, doing those first 4 without thundering would be lovely. We've got the 3 raids, which will be cycling with the Awakened, like little affix thing weekly, and then Heroic and Mythic dungeon difficulty and rewards are all different now. They've been updated, and for a quick reminder, Heroic is as hard as Old Mythic, Mythic is as hard as an Old Mythic plus 10, sans affixes, etc., and Mythic plus 2 to plus 10 is going to be as hard as the old Mythic plus 12 to plus 20, with upgraded rewards, of course, to match the challenge. I am very keen to see how this one plays out. Let me know what you think, especially if you're 2 things. 1, an affix no-lifer, and 2, somebody who doesn't enjoy Mythic Plus, but is keen to just try some harder dungeons. And if you're in that latter camp, there's extra good news because Dawn of the Infinite is not going to be on Mythic Plus. It will be on Mythic, and its Mythic will be harder than the others. It even drops Heroic raid gear. So Blizzard, if you're telling me that there's a dungeon that's going to feel a bit like a Heroic raid for 5 people, I am so down for that. A new season, of course, also means new mounts, with Keystone Master and Gladiator achievements getting the usual fare, and this Wilderling coming from clearing all 3 raids while they're on Awakened, on Normal and Higher. There's also a returning mount, Jigglesworth Senior, which is the fated mount from Shadowlands Season 3, and it's going to be available on the Antique Bronze Bullion vendor in Season 4. We don't have the full details, but basically, play the game, do some raids, do some weekly events like the dungeon one, it seems, and just buy yourself that fella if you missed out on him. Now, there's a little bit of arguing as to whether or not this will be a great season for World of Warcraft. Personally, I'm just looking forward to getting a last little spin around Vault of the Incarnates, which was one of my favorite raids. I absolutely loved it, and I'm going to be playing some new classes, doing some new things. For me, that will keep it fresh. Maybe more importantly, though, let's go back to the roadmap and look at 2024, because the War Within Alpha is scheduled to begin before Season 4, and that means, unless plans have changed, we're going to be getting it within the next 2 weeks. Like, we're only 5 months away from the expansion launch, it would seem. There's also 10.2.7 Darkheart and the pre-patch and Season 4, which honestly does feel pretty good and a lot better than what we were used to. Which often also would be a sponsor, which we don't have today, but I'm going to shout out Bellular.games. You see, we moved off Patreon, we're rolling our own site on open source tech, it is way better, and over there, we've actually posted a new lore walking episode. It's 75 minutes of action on Xal'atath. You can also view our new episodes early there, like Xal'atath's complete story. And like, seriously, we'll be publishing a lot of videos there early, so hit that up. I mean, our Hero Talents video is also up there early, and we are working on more content than ever. And I'm also kind of done being sweaty about YouTube. Honestly, I love making simple, shorter, useful videos that are straight to the point, like the Season 4 gearing video we just published a few days ago. If you'd like to support us, the best way to do that is bellular.games, and if you do, of course, I'll see you when we're hanging out over in the Members Lounge Discord. Our next story then is IGN interviewing John Hight. Of course, John is one of the biggest names in Warcraft, leading the franchise. He talked about other games and movies. The juiciest thing is probably movies. Here's what John said. Blizzard are open to the idea of more movies, but he personally doesn't like the idea of Blizzard themselves becoming the filmmakers. He said pretty candidly that he even says it's unfortunate that some colleagues get too into the idea of doing movies because from his perspective, Blizzard makes games, not movies. He says that there are pros who can do movies way better, essentially saying that he wouldn't get movie people to make a Warcraft game. And I mean, you know what? Fair. Though he doesn't say it, I really hope he knows that Blizzard are actually masters of their craft. The likes of Old Soldier were absolutely terrific. So sure, maybe not a full movie, but if you were to do something called Legends of Warcraft, and maybe it ends up being every year we get a new 20-minute short, a little bit like that Old Soldier supercut that is focusing in on some, like, epic moment or big story from the Warcraft franchise, I personally think that would be absolutely amazing, but also expensive, and I suppose they'd have to justify it as a marketing expense. Anyway, going back to John, the way that he spoke to IGN really made it seem like they're waiting for the right person or the right studio to show up with the right idea, otherwise they'll just keep on trucking. That being said, there was a whispered tease this time last year from Mike Ybarra and Chris Metzen about something, right? So I suppose we'll have to see if John is hiding something from us. If he is, he's certainly doing a damn good job of that, though. He also talked about games in a similar way, and of course we've been talking about how Warcraft feels so underutilized. Where are our action games, our RTSs, our SRPGs? Where is the Warcraft? Well, IGN actually asked John about licensing the IP out, like Riot have done, and he basically said they need the ideal partner, but he's extremely picky about it. So I suppose don't get your hopes up, but at least it's something they'd consider. As for Riot Forge, it ended up being shut down over budget concerns. I don't know if that's the budget of the games that they published, or just the budget of actually running the Riot Forge department, because, well, it's Riot, and they do seem to pay everybody a hell of a lot of money. The next thing John talked about is no generative AI being used in WoW. This has been talked about before, but basically, they want to use machine learning-based stuff to do the bulk of grunt work, like reshaping armor models for different races, but nothing generative. And of course, it's the generative AI that is the current trend, so that I think is really good. Of course, if this ends up just taking away grunt work from people and lets the artists actually work on the new creative stuff that they find exciting, and not just spending hours upon hours making helms fit different races, I personally consider that to be a very good thing indeed. But I'll tell you what's not a good thing: the Gladiator transmog that is on the store for some cold, hard cash. Obviously, it's not PvP Gladiator stuff, it's just a set called the Gladiator's Ragged Armor, and Shrinkflation. It's an example of Shrinkflation because this is another set on the store, but it's one that we saw data mined a while ago. And it's essentially a budget version of Gladiator Varian Rin, right? Now, as usual, if you don't want to shell out for it, it will be on the trading post at some point in the future after it leaves the store April 30th, which of course means you can pay now and save yourself the tendies later. But the weird part is, this costs $20. The Dreadlord set costs $20, but it came with both data mined colors, while this comes with just one. There are also matching weapons in the files as well, and nothing to be seen with weapons in this set, meaning those weapons are probably going to be on the trading post in the future. It's a bit of a strange thing. I mean, I would rather that those weapons are just on the trading post or earned in-game, but it does feel weird to be charging that amount of money for one tint of an armor set without any weapons, when we've seen examples like in the Dreadlord set, or of course the Flameplume Regalia, which had different options in it and was a really high-effort bit of work. Yeah, honestly, it's a kind of odd thing, and if you've been paying attention to the store, I think it's fairly clear that the one thing that is coming with World of Warcraft just having way more content these days, it is a bit more monetization. Thankfully, it seems to mostly be stuff that does go into the trading post. That is a little bit softer than the pure hardest sell that you can imagine. I'm not saying it's an amazing thing, but it's better than it could be. And at least personally, as somebody paying a World of Warcraft subscription, I do feel reasonable about the value that I'm getting in return for that. But then again, I enjoyed Plunderstorm. If you didn't enjoy Plunderstorm, yeah, admittedly, you haven't had an amazing time lately, and I get that. But hey, if you didn't like Plunderstorm, I've got good news. 6 whole years of content with the Noble Garden update. Okay, here's the deal. Noble Garden has been updated. It is minor. Some things are pretty sweet. There are new quests. There's a new carpet mount to farm daily for that initially got a little bit of backlash, and a lot of ducks for some reason. Now, the ducks actually are the offending item as it comes to the 6-year thing. Basically, the quests give you a new duck disguiser toy, as well as one of 6 colors of disguise for it. And if you want to get another color, a blue post set in response to a forum question, come back next year. So, 6 years of content, I mean, you may as well just prepay your entire sub now. Blizzard did say, though, that you should submit feedback, so maybe they'll change this by the time the event ends. Now, the other thing is a bit of a PSA. The carpet mount has actually had its drop rate be buffed, and now, like with the other holiday mounts, it has a much larger chance to drop for you the first time each day. So, those of you camping this spot with all of your alts can maybe chill. Or maybe not, because you could still get unlucky, and community cries are growing louder and louder for how these low drop rate mounts should perhaps be purchasable with event currency, and I think they're really onto something. And on the topic of PSAs, I have a few for you. If you've been hunting the Dragonflight achievements and you still need the Primal Storm stuff, good news, because now 2 of them spawn at once, just like in the good old days, which should make some of those meta achievements a bit easier to do, or at least a bit more reasonable, and that'll help you if you're truly into punishing yourself unlocking Taivan. Another side to these storms is pretty damn cool though. They can be used for leveling. We're looking into that. There might just be a video, and a ton of people are saying that they are getting their alts leveled up pretty damn fast, so yeah. I'll look into it and we'll report back. Now, if you would like to level and gear up in other ways, I would remind you that it is Legion time walking this week. So you can do amazing dungeons like Vault of the Wardens, like Court of Stars to level up and get yourself some decent gear. Perfect time ahead of Season 4. Now, we actually have a video coming before Season 4 launches that is all about the specs that we really think you should try. Here's a brief spoiler. Demon Hunter, Shaman, and Mage are 3 of the recommendations we have. They're pretty damn awesome. So if you want to shake it up for the next season, I'd highly recommend giving those guys a shot. Now, if you're not really playing Dragonflight, maybe you're playing Plunderstorm, in which case Trios have just went live. I haven't done it yet. I do know that, like, Duos was way better than solos. Me and Matt had the time of our lives and some absolute nail-biters playing duos. So, Trios is there. I hope you have fun. Now, if you're not playing the Dragonflight client at all, I probably don't need to tell you that Season of Discovery Phase 3 is live. It was in fact so live that European Battle.net servers seem to fall over. Anyway, the level cap is 50, new runes are live, they are being discovered by the community because, hey, it's all literally discovery, it's not on PTR, the Sunken Temple 20-man raid is in, and there's even speed leveling via the Nightmare Incursions that are almost like a classic version of the Legion pre-patch portals. Oh, and dual talents. It's a lot to sink your teeth into. And okay, that is the main news for this week. Reasonably quiet, but Alpha is pretty much just around the corner. It will be an absolute carpet nuke of content. We're trying a lot of new ideas content-wise as well. Of course, you can hit up bellular.games to be on that journey with us, to support us and to see a lot of that stuff early. And watch this video next, because guess what? Having 2 maxed out, very rare trinkets in Season 4 will make your character feel like a golden god. So, click the box and my face disappears. And from all of us here, I hope you have a wonderful weekend.